I'd like to propose a toast to Charlie for being my lucky charm.
Women call him...
You're that Charlie?
Or Charlie.
Good Luck Chuck.
Whoa. You're a lucky charm. You have sex with someone and then they find their true love. Isn't that how it works?
Has everybody lost their minds? That's ridiculous.
I guess you are a lucky charm.
Do you want to have sex before or after dinner?
Actually, I have dinner plans.
Buddy, you got the ticket to the big show.
You have 108 messages.
Yeah, I don't do that with men.
This is Molly.
Jenny.
Danielle.
Stacy.
This is Bob. Just hear me out.
But now...
I'm Kim.
I'm Charlie.
Sorry.
Yes!
Fess up about this charm. It's quite a scam you got going.
No, it's not me.
People will believe whatever they want to believe.
What seems like a blessing...
Cam's the one, man.
What makes you think I'll be kissing you, huh?
You all right? Oh.
feels like a curse.
If you sleep with her, she's gonna marry the next guy she dates.
Hey, that's not true.
I started calling all your exes. They're married.
It's real.
I hate you.
I gotta go. You look great. I had a good time. I gotta go.
To get the girl of his dreams, Chuck will do anything.
I've got to put the curse to the test.
With anyone.
Eleanor Skeppel. This chick ain't never getting married.
I actually thought that maybe we could get physical.
I'm gonna ride you till you die.
This summer, true love.
Now?
Not now. Wait till I get this.
Has never been so hard.
Come over.
I want to. I just don't think that we should.
Does your phone receive pictures?
Dane Cook, Jessica Alba. Good luck, Chuck.
What's sex without love?
Sex! It's still sex!
Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and other podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie. We are part of the Main Damie Network, and to find more from us, check out the website, themaindamie.com, or on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Main Damie. We are also a now proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. You can find them at gbnation.com. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Del Vecchio. With me, as always, is Dan Aquino and Mark Meyer. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hey, how's it going?
Before we get started, I got a hot stock tip for you. GameStop. Buy it now.
When it goes to the moon between now and Thursday, you guys will know.
That still has my favorite. The best meme to come out of that was the Daddy Musk. I don't know why, man, but just those two words put together are just so disturbing and hilarious.
Yeah, we don't need to get into the whole Elon Musk cult. But this week, before we get into this week's movie, gentlemen, what are you watching?
I actually had a question. I watched a ton of movies, and I don't remember any of them. I had a question for you guys because of who the main character in our movie that we watched this week was abysmal. If you had to do a Mount Rushmore of just bad actors, who do you put up there? I know I'm kind of springing it on you guys.
Okay.
But if you had to, if maybe we could all come together to create our own Mount Rushmore of horrible actors.
Right. Not ones that we enjoy watching, but
exactly. Yeah. And
terrible actor.
Not like Malibu, who yes, he's a bad actor, but we enjoy seeing him.
And is this spurred on by Dane Cook or Jessica Alba?
Dane Cook.
Dane Cook. Okay.
Because Alba has shown glimpses of being a good actor.
Mm-hmm. Depending on what shirt she's wearing.
No. don't go putting words in my mouth. All right. She has done some decent work here and there, but it's again few and far between. But still, she's better than Dane Cook.
Sure, I will give you that. Yeah, Mark, you got any? Any?
So obviously Gerard Butler. No,
Oh, you bastard.
No, I think. I wonder if the whole throwing it in there to have to actually be bad. For some reason, the first name that came to my head was Hayden Christensen.
Okay.
That's not a bad pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a whole bunch that ran in my head when it was like people we enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how do I whittle this down? But thinking about who I don't enjoy, and maybe it's just the last taste in my mouth of Hayden Christensen was the movie. Yep, I'm gonna leave that in there. And I saw those eyes move. Was the movie with Nick Cage.
Outcast.
Yeah. So I haven't seen him. I remember him being the worst part of Jumper.
Yeah, that movie.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he's a good starting off point.
Yeah. I don't know. There's obvious ones like Carrot Top, but he was in one movie.
Chairman of the board.
Carrot Top, Chairman of the Board. It's on Amazon Prime, guys.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm well aware of Chairman.
I just remember the Norm Macdonald, Conan O'Brien thing.
What about you, Dan? I'm trying to think right now. Are you gonna say Dane Cook?
No. I actually have a pretty good one. And you guys will know. Jai Courtney.
Oh yes, you hate Jai Courtney.
Jai Courtney. Jai Courtney is who? I don't think he's Abe Lincoln. I wouldn't give him Abe Lincoln status. Is he Jefferson? Yeah, I think I got to put him there because he's not badass enough to be Teddy.
Okay.
Jefferson was just he was there. He was cool.
I forgot we were doing Mount Rushmores, and I was like, where is he going with this?
Yeah,
he's not.
Yeah, that's the Mount Rushmore. That's what I'm connecting it to. He would be my pick.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some bad actresses.
Yeah,
Ooh,
absolutely.
Yeah, let's not be sexist.
Definitely put them up there.
I mean,
that did multiple movies.
Yeah.
Not like a model that did one movie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna I've never been a big fan of Bill Pullman.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like between the Bills, Paxton far superior.
Yeah, that's true.
You know who I'm gonna pick? I'm gonna pick Stephen Baldwin.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
There's one line reading from The Usual Suspects that cuts through me like a knife. It's when they find Benicio del Toro's body on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's really emotional about it. And then he's like, we got to bury him. And I think it's Gabriel Byrne who's like, well, how the fuck are we going to do that? And then he's like, with our hands. It's really emotional. For some reason, that scene just sticks out with me of a movie that I don't think is all that good. It's a C+ movie with an A+ ending. That's
right. Everyone talks about the ending.
Yeah. That's not for this podcast. But yeah.
What about,
Stephen Baldwin. I'm going to
Pauly Shore. If we're going with Baldwin, right?
Pauly Shore. Yeah.
You can do that. I'm struggling with actresses. There's not a whole lot of actresses that
There's got to be someone.
It's because we respect women.
Yeah. I think they're all great in their own way.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with those.
Lena Dunham. I don't it's shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
And I've watched 5 seasons of Girls, so it's not like me just being ooh, she's gross. I watched all of that, so I know.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if we're going off of their movies, I love Emilia Clarke in Game of Thrones, but in her movies, not great.
Yeah.
But I don't think she's Mount Rushmore worthy,
No. It's some things when I was growing up, and probably still do, had the biggest crush on Natalie Portman.
Mm-hmm.
She's not a good actress.
Yeah, Jennifer Love Hewitt, not a great actress, but she was my first crush. Did I just say yours, Mark? I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say one, but then I don't know. Jennifer Lopez popped in my head, but then I started remembering some good roles, and then it was But that might be the closest I could think of.
Maybe Jennifer Aniston.
Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
Yeah.
She would be my pick if we were doing
Katie Holmes, if we're sticking with the Rachel Dawes.
Okay. Yes. As
she was better than Katie Holmes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But anytime I see Maggie Gyllenhaal, it's just I want Jake. Just give me Jake. Why can't we just put Jake Gyllenhaal here?
Just Spader and Jake Gyllenhaal and Secretary.
Bale diving out to save Jake Gyllenhaal in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
But the reason why I was thinking about it was I watched this movie, and then I watched, for some god-awful reason, another Dane Cook movie.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know why, but It had Jessica Simpson in it. Yeah. She could probably go up there too.
That's the only other Dane Cook movie I know, and I was hoping there wasn't a third.
Well, it's funny because, I don't like to admit these things to many people, but I was a Dane Cook fan growing up.
I saw Tourgasm in concert at Penn State.
So did I. Not at Penn State, but I saw it at, I think I saw it at the Garden.
And laughed my ass off.
I'm so glad. This is my badge of honor for this episode, where I had the opportunity to go to that same Penn State Dane Cook show, and I did not go to it. So
because you're so snobby.
I've never seen Dane Cook in concert, and I'm going to put that on my headstone.
I think looking back
Anthony,
on it,
never saw Dane Cook in concert.
We'll say that you're the eulogy.
Yep.
Well, there's one thing about Ant. I never saw Dane Cook. Yeah. Amen.
I saw Tracy Morgan, though, when he came.
Oh, he's great. Tracy Morgan's great. I'll tell people that all the time. But looking back on it, I was in high school, like towards the end of high school when his rise came about. Dane Cook, not Tracy Morgan. And I would listen to his comedy albums, and like no one else laughed. So to me, I thought it was like, well, it's the children who are wrong. It's not me. I know funny. All right. I'm a funny guy, but no one else thought so. And I stopped liking him after I saw Waiting because I don't know how many people remember that movie, Waiting.
I love Waiting, to be honest.
But in the coming attractions, they kind of built up Dane Cook's part.
He's the worst part of that movie.
He is easily the worst part of that movie, and they were basically bankrolling. Oh, he's hot right now, so we'll just put him in the coming attractions. Yeah, and he maybe has like 3 lines.
Yeah, and that includes Caitlin Doubleday, who is barely a character in that movie.
Yeah, it's... I left that theater, and I just like, man, this guy is not set to be an actor.
Now I gotta go look up who...
I just rolled with it, because I thought both of you knew who it was.
That's Justin Long's girlfriend in that movie. I've watched Waiting way too many times than I'd like to admit. But yeah,
man, he's got so many people I can't stand. Whew.
Yeah.
Basically just him and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And Justin Long too. Throw him in there for good measure.
The cast of Waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that shows you how bad Dane Cook in that movie. He could be easily the worst part of that cast.
Yeah, it was just disappointing, and at that point, I just realized, you know what, he's no longer my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Waiting.
I mean, I don't know when I grew out. Maybe it was after Vicious Circle for Dane Cook. Like, getting excited. Oh, his new comedy special. And I saw it and I was like, yeah, this isn't... not laughing at it,
Yeah.
And just going, maybe I've grown past this. I think that might have been the time. Because at Tourgasm time I was in, my sister bought me the DVD of the HBO thing for special, Christmas. Yeah. And all that stuff. And then went to the thing. But looking back, I'm like, you were an idiot.
Look, man, I mean, maybe it's just because that's when we came of age, but the 2000s are an awful time for pop culture.
Yeah.
It's a black hole.
It is. I mean, besides the emo music, but like the rise of Paris Hilton, and TMZ and all that stuff.
She was in multiple movies. We can throw her into Mount Rushmore.
It's a decade of awful people becoming popular.
Yeah.
Right. We were at a very strange, obviously we were kind of thrown through a loop as a nation.
Mm-hmm. Post 9/11, man. You can blame it all on 9/11.
Yeah, we were just latching on to anybody at that point, and it really showed.
We latched on
Tom Green.
What we did is we latched on to narcissists that didn't care about 9/11, right? Like 9/11 did not slow them down, and that's who we gravitated towards. We wanted to be those people. We wanted people that didn't give a fuck. I'm just hot, which was debatable, to be honest with you. Looking back, it's like,
we were teenagers, pretty much like everybody was hot. Anyone who was a celebrity was deemed hot, really.
And it was just like they got super skinny, and then everyone was wearing low-rise jeans and chunky highlights and fake tans. Mm-hmm. Awful. Yeah. When we get go ahead. I
was going to say just an LFO video come to life.
Yeah. But like we're going to look down 15, 20 years from now when they start making movies that take place in the 2000s. it's going to be ugly looking.
Yeah.
No one's going to be happy.
Did you hear that thing that if the Wonder Years started today, it would take place in 2001 because
Mark, don't do this to us.
I just saw it today. I had to share it, make everyone feel old.
I could talk about how we are older than Stacy's mom.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Gross. Well, I feel bad because we're here shitting on Dane Cook, or preparing to do so, and life has kind of done that already to him. But
wasn't he like fucking a 17-year-old not too long ago?
Probably.
I think it was like borderline, right?
She was like 18, maybe.
Yeah, like barely.
Yeah.
You know,
like
something that is exactly a joke in the movie Waiting.
Right. But you know, his brother stole from him. He got accused of stealing jokes. The underage possibility. And I was thinking about it, like, man, we're, obviously if Dane Cook hears this, I'm sure he won't care. But what's one more, right? Right, guys? What's one more?
He'll just give us the soup fly and walk away.
Oh, I don't know. Can he still do that? Is that still his thing? The super finger?
Yeah.
It's I have a picture of myself doing that. I'm not proud of it.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I smell episode art.
It's not good.
Oh no. Yeah. Well, we're going to get into this movie, but before we do, we're going to take a break and listen to some ads so we can pay those bills. So we will be right back. And welcome back. And this week's movie was Dan's pick. Dan, do you want to introduce this week's movie?
Yes. We got into, for some reason, Good Luck Chuck with Dane Cook and Jessica Alba.
Okay. Why did you say by some reason when it was your choice?
I don't know why I chose
You didn't spin a wheel or something.
No, so if you listen to the show, we usually have good reasons why we choose the movies we choose. I can't for the life of me remember why I chose this movie.
If I could shed some light, you gave me two options.
Okay.
One was Good Luck Chuck, and the other one was Year One.
Okay. I have no idea why I chose this.
So you came with violence this week.
I chose violence.
And I said of those two, I would pick Good Luck Chuck if we were going to do an episode.
Okay.
My reason being, Good Luck Chuck seemed like it's from 2007, which, as we discussed, was a cesspool of pop culture. But it kind of was a movie that probably worked. Maybe it worked at the time, and most likely didn't work now. Year One just seemed like it's bad because it's just kind of like a dull misfire of people that have been in better things. So this seemed like more of a disaster than just something that would wind up being kind of like, it was just boring, Yeah. People that we've seen be better are just kind of like phoning it in, more or less.
In this movie, they're trying. Yeah. And none more evident than Dan Fogler.
Oh, yeah. But where are you guys coming from, though, with this? Have you seen this before?
I had seen bits and pieces, and I vaguely remember just being very unimpressed. Very like Jessica Alba's in it, great, but man, it did it to me again, because I remember seeing it and it didn't leave an impression on me. And I just watched it, and I can't remember why I watched it. So that should have been on the poster for the movie. Why did we watch this?
Yeah. What about you, Mark? Have you ever seen this?
No, it feels like a movie I should have seen when I was still doing DVDs for Netflix. Like, especially with the talk that we had about how much of a Dane Cook fan I was back then. But no, I had not seen this before. I forget, we had another movie earlier, like maybe sometime last year, that like it felt like I should have seen that movie, but did not. The whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, yeah, this thing's not very good, but it would have seemed like one of the dumb things I put in there. When I was watching a whole lot more movies than I do now. But yeah, I didn't have any high hopes going in, and it somehow went below those expectations. With a lot of the stuff that ties into the reason why I don't like Dane Cook anymore. It seems like maybe I've outgrown the humor of this movie.
Sure.
For the most part, and the only part of it was there was a little kernel of something in there, but they turned it into completely unwatchable and not really funny of a movie. Mm-hmm. It just felt like an excuse for Dane Cook to be around naked women for weeks on end.
And I'm surprised you haven't seen this, because not only were you a big Dane Cook fan, apparently you're a huge Jessica Alba fan, which is...
I mean, Idle Hands and Sin City.
Okay.
I guess, can we forget about Honey?
So okay. First of all, let's backtrack for the audience. We put up a poll. I put up a poll today, basically, asking the question that was all the rage in the mid 2000s. Once again, where the cesspool of pop culture reigned. It's 2005, and pick your Jessica Biel or Jessica Alba. Dan picked Jessica Biel, which I thought he would have said Jessica Alba. I don't know why. He just felt like an Alba guy for me. And then I assumed, because I know Mark a very long time and I know a few things about him, he loves the CW, or did love the CW. He loves Varsity Blues, and he loves Summer Catch. Now, two of those things have Jessica Biel in it, so I assumed that Mark was going to be a huge Jessica Biel fan. I have never heard Mark ever talk about Idle Hands, Sin City, and now Honey in my life.
Well, I'll admit I had said to Dan that I didn't have a good movie reason to back up my thing. Just between the two of them, I prefer Alba. So I picked the two most random movies that I knew would get a reaction out of you. Despite the fact that I do like both of those movies, to be honest, or at the time when I watched them, I liked both of them. So, but I don't know if it was a clear factor that she was the reason. But to be honest, the whole reason I like Summer Catch is because I'm a sucker for baseball movies, more than the hot women in it. That might be the reason. And you completely misread that I never watched Seventh Heaven. So, that whole thing, that was completely understandable with my love of CW, WB, teen dramas at the time. But didn't watch much Seventh Heaven to get, attached to Jessica Biel that way. And didn't watch any Dark Angel, which you were about to fight me if that was the reason why I picked Jessica Alba over Jessica Biel. I just felt like that if you gave me the choice based on, back then, seeing one of them on the poster or something, I would lean Alba, more than Biel.
And Mark, I 100% agree with you. Gun to my head, I would pick Jessica Alba over Jessica Biel.
I don't have a good movie reason for that. It's just...
Personally, I've never been huge on either of them, but they're objectively gorgeous, both of them, yes. Obviously. But they weren't never my first picks. This is the hottest woman in Hollywood or whatever. But it blows my mind. I gotta be honest with you.
I'll say, and I said it just a couple minutes ago, I think the biggest reason for your thing was your misread of the CW shows that I've watched.
Maybe. And after watching this movie, I completely understand why you completely turned off by Jessica Alba, because... Yeah. I hate her in this movie. And it's not even her acting. Yeah. It's what she does throughout the entire movie. I hate it. I dislike this movie so much. I've never seen it before. I've never seen this movie before. Once again, put that on my tombstone. That I also didn't watch Good Luck Chuck until I had to do it for a podcast. This movie was unpleasant. That's all I can say about it.
We're getting back to our roots, man. I'm really digging it. It's the one thing I think that threw you off, and Mark told me the reason he likes Summer Catch is Brian Dennehy. That's really
I'm a huge Brian Dennehy fan.
That's what gets him going.
Yeah, that's why I watch RoboCop so much.
Jessica Biel, who?
No, I'm sorry, Rambo.
Rambo,
man. And it's First Blood, Dick.
If we're being nitpicky, yes. But I'm glad that we picked this one. Because it's if anything, it's problematic AF.
Yes, it is.
Yes, the entire movie.
Yeah, oh yeah. And again, I think a lot of actors will look back on this and say, yeah, we couldn't get away with this, and I hope no one else watches this movie because some things could definitely be canceled here.
Oh yeah, according to our Letterboxd review, there are at least 4 rapes in this movie. I counted 3, but I'll leave it to that person. I'm sure I'm misreading one of them.
Now, is it Chuck doing it or being?
So no, I think he gets raped at least twice.
Well, I think
his receptionist rapes him.
Yeah, for the most part.
The girl in the beginning of the movie attempts to rape him.
Okay. Does the cop? No, the cop is
No, that's consensual. She just doesn't want to kiss him.
Right. And I know Stu sexually harasses every woman he comes across.
That's an attempted rape too.
Yes.
A rape of false pretenses.
Correct. Yeah. He's pretending to be Chuck. Mm. Yeah, it's weird because Dan Fogler, he was in the Fantastic Beasts movie, and he's actually pretty good in that movie.
Yeah, he's like the most enjoyable part about those movies.
Yeah, and everything else, it's just like, who decided that like he could be in movies? Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, yeah, you look like you could be a leading star. He's one of those guys. He's like Clint Howard in that he gives everyone else hope.
Yeah, it's kind of like this is sort of like the Zach Galifianakis role in The Hangover. Like this is supposed to like put him into the stratosphere, right? That's always the supporting role in an edgy comedy where that guy gets the stars in the next movie, right?
Yeah.
But that role does not hold up, man, under a 21 microscope. I don't even know if it does. Innocent. Yeah. But I don't even know if it holds up in a 2007 microscope. There's a lot of eesh, man.
Yeah. But and even the very beginning, and I only found this out through IMDb because I didn't notice it at first. But the fat kid in the beginning would now rather everybody know that he was on the Goldbergs more than this movie. He probably goes, "Oh, good luck, that wasn't me. It's completely different.
Mistakes were made.
Not me in that movie." But yeah, everything about this movie, it was like you said, I felt uncomfortable watching most of it. I think the most slightly non-uncomfortable scenes were whenever the brother character would be there.
Are you talking about not Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Just because it was like something that wasn't about sex when he was on screen, it was about weed, but, I'm like, okay, good. This isn't, all right. There might be a funny joke here. There never was, but there's at least a little bit of hope. But yeah, every time anything that Stu did in this movie was just like, how did that get past anybody that reads these things? Mm-hmm. Like in terms of scripts or the network or not network, the studio or any I'm like, was it just that they didn't care or they were trying to do was Apatow stuff out at this point?
Probably. I think so. I think
Superbad,
we looked this up
Knocked Up.
Yeah.
Yeah, were they trying to be that and just didn't know why his stuff worked back then?
You know what? It was the same year.
Well, the problem is the writers of this movie, Josh Stolberg, Steve Glenn, they chose certain things that they thought would be good character traits, but it doesn't flesh out the character at all. So Jessica Alba's brother is a stoner, but he has nothing beyond being a stoner. Jessica Alba is clumsy. There's nothing beyond her being clumsy. Again, Stu, Dan Fogler, he's a pervert, and that's it. There's nothing beyond those traits. There's no good character building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the big things about this is so I guess we were a little spoiled with, but I'm sure that there are things of American Pie that were now questionable, like recording someone that doesn't know they're being recorded. But that was our coming of age movie, right? It came out in 1999, and I guess this is sort of around. I'm sure this is probably some group of teens that was like, this is the first time I ever saw boobs in a movie. This movie's awesome. Right. But I've never seen a sex comedy that just makes the act of sex seem so miserable.
Yeah.
Seems so uninviting.
Yeah, because it's always a chore. in this movie. It's really as if he's kind of a slave to it.
It's clinical too.
Yeah.
It's incredible how they like packed it with boobs, which is second movie in a row where we just like up past 11 when it comes to the boob rating. But yeah, this was less sexy than Savage Beach, to say the least.
yeah, and yeah, as I mentioned earlier, there's like the smallest of nuggets of probably somebody. This feels like a movie that was like a bunch of people in front of a whiteboard or probably a corkboard at this point. And we're just throwing out ideas. And the kernel of the idea of, hey, what if a guy, every person that he sleeps with, the next person they date they get married to that person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but they didn't know what to do with that. So they just built a sex comedy around it and tried to connect to it, and it never really connected. Like you said, it made everything seem clinical because they tried to make it a comedy. You know, maybe for drama, maybe it works better. Not with Dane Cook, but, you know, just using that idea. And it just felt like it was just a bunch of, I'm going to assume there were no women in the writer's room for this. A bunch of guys sitting around, just, like I said, with the corkboard, putting up index cards of, you know, funny situations or moments or lines and then trying to mush them into a movie. Because it never felt like there was no development of any characters, even Dane Cook's character.
You know what would make this a way more interesting story is if it's the complete opposite that happens every time that Dane Cook has sex with a woman. Like something bad happens to them. So now it's like he's trying to find true love, but everyone's terrified of him.
It's a horror movie.
Yes, this movie is so much better as a horror movie.
Yeah, and you could like maybe he becomes jaded. More and more it happens. It's just I think you can kind of pull off a better. You could even pull off a better love story that way because now Jessica Alba is willing to sacrifice whatever, and you can make it cartoony, the things that happen to these people, or you can make it serious if we wanted to go horror. But
Final Destination.
Sure, yeah, like someone because listen, am I going to sit here and tell you that Dane Cook's an ugly guy? No, he's a pretty good looking guy, although HD does him no favors, and
especially that first scene.
Oh yeah, his blowjob face, and I mean, sometimes your complexion's not great, but the makeup artist did him no favors.
No, but again, to me, he's an above average looking guy.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any complaints about that.
Yeah. I don't think someone's saying, oh, Dane Cook, the ugly comedian guy.
Right. So yeah, you could even have it as a revenge story, right? Like he was picked on at school or whatever, and then he goes on a rampage banging these girls and they all suffer horrible fates.
All right.
Yeah. And then we get to the point, and the other thing that does not work is, as Ant mentioned a little bit earlier, is that their way of making Jessica Alba not just the good looking model type person like the rest of the women in the movie is to make her clumsy.
Yeah.
Like that was the choice for how do we make her not seem as fake and phony as the rest of the girls in this movie. And it was a poor choice and a poor job of acting by one Miss Alba.
It's so grating just to be like the slapstick is just awful. I hate it.
Yeah.
This is Four Christmases.
Yeah.
Slapstick is like the same Four Christmases. Shout out, Juwan. I see you. I see what gets you laughing.
I
People
think
slamming their faces into fake icebergs.
I think the problem there is Jessica Alba is too beautiful to really care about if she's clumsy. Like, who gives a shit?
Mm-hmm.
You're of course you're going to be willing to put up with someone who trips over their own feet if it's Jessica Alba. It's whatever. But if you're taking a normal person, then it might be like, okay, this is a little strange. I don't know if I'm willing to be with someone who's constantly, Murphy's Law, right? Anything that's going to happen will happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little more understanding, but hey, people are in the 2000s, people were willing to probably cut off their left arm to be with Jessica Alba.
Yeah.
So to me, it's not believable where it's like, oh, okay, well, that's her quirk. It could be literally anything else.
It's also not a thing in real life. That's what I have such a hard have a hard time in. It's like nobody is that accident prone, you know? It's not a real character flaw. If you're trying to get this to be, try some other way to make her relatable. I mean, honestly, if you're trying to make him fall for someone that's relatable, you probably shouldn't have cast Jessica Alba, to be honest with you.
Sure.
Probably find somebody that is like, you know, still pretty good looking, obviously, but maybe, you know, do the Rachel Lee Cook thing. Give her a ponytail and some glasses and some suspenders or whatever, overalls.
Jenna Fisher would be perfect.
Yeah.
Right. She's very plain Jane, but she's still very pretty.
Yeah.
So she toes the line there.
Yeah. But someone just, you know, constantly just being accident prone. That's not a thing.
No.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I was going to say the main thing that they and a lot of this stuff wasn't even like clumsy being it. It was, you know, I guess absent-minded is probably closer to it. You know, the locking the keys in the car, leaving the lights on, like, and then I guarantee you, well, not guarantee, God knows what these people were doing in the writer's room, but that the idea for her character came out of that whole thing that her brother called her Murphy because of Murphy's Law. And then it was like, all right, let's build the character from that. And then built the character and then went to the casting and were like, all right, who should we put next to Dane Cook? Well, why don't we get Jessica Alba? Well, she doesn't really fit the kind of character we're doing here. And then it's just a complete mess from the jump. With all this, it was in a movie where they do every kind of phobic that you can think of. I'm surprised they didn't go a step here and do something that would have been seen nowadays as something, you know, problematic.
Now,
with her.
Can I ask you fellas a question?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Very important. Say you have this power, right? And a friend of yours, it's kind of like the receptionist. Her husband died. She wants to find love. Do you just give out this power willy-nilly? Or do you tell them, hey, I'm not doing this for you because I am not, I'm not just a piece of meat.
I'd get paid. Come on.
So you would get paid for it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Mark, would you say out of the kindness out of your heart?
Yeah, I mean, the get paid part is for everybody that I think the receptionist would be the exception. You know, I might do that for free she's a good person and, you know, husband died and all that.
Sure.
Sort of thing.
There's some pro bono work, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, but 99% of it is going to be, it would be a completely different movie. He would be having advertisements and TV commercials and going through it. But yeah, I would assume I would get to the point that he got to, in that it's just like, what am I doing? Either I have to raise my rates or, you know, like there needs to be something like chasing that high, sort of thing. Because at some point, like he said, it just becomes like nothing. He just lays there, you know, sort of thing. Yeah, so, just unfulfilling.
So yeah, you guys would become male escorts essentially.
No, we're paying for our matchmaking service.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's what the tax forms will say.
Right. So I would help nobody. I would hoard it like it was King Solomon's mine. I would give it to nobody.
So you're being celibate.
Yeah, I would do the exact opposite.
Really? You would withdraw from society.
Only if they really needed it, I would say no.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know. I think me and Mark are on the morally right side of this.
Sure.
Even though we're getting paid for it. I mean, you know, if you're good at something, never do it for free.
My hog it's not for sale like that.
Wow.
Yeah. If my
amazing turn, I did not expect this.
If a good friend of mine was saying, "Hey, I'm having trouble getting a life partner. I need that dick." Like, well, look elsewhere, sweetheart.
Wow.
Not here. Closed for business.
So, Good Luck, Chuck from 2007 is directed by Mark Helfrich, who only directed an episode of Bones and the pilot for Prison Break. But he is Brett Ratner's editor of choice, including editing Rush Hours 1 through 3, X-Men The Last Stand, Red Dragon, as well as the 2 Jumanji sequels, 4 Christmases, and many more. It stars Dane Cook, Jessica Alba, Dan Fogler, Jalen Simmons, Alia English, and Lonnie Ross. Very small cast list in terms of like people that actually have speaking roles. IMDb score 5.6 and a Rotten Tomatoes score of 5%. Ooh. Budget $25 million. Box office $35 million. So it made its money back. But I feel like people forgot about this movie, and good riddance, to be honest with you. But apparently people love it. What?
I totally forgot that there was a third Rush Hour movie.
Yep.
I only thought there was 2, but so we learned a little something today.
Yeah, this feels like that whole time period where people like Dane Cook and they were trying to make Johnny Knoxville a movie star, and just that whole segment of movies just completely out of your mind.
Oh yeah, Sean William Scott too.
Yeah,
I like Sean William Scott.
I mean, he's the lesser of the 3 evils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could actually act.
Yeah, and he's better as a support role more than be the movie star.
Yeah. Just Jason Bateman. No, not Jason Bateman. What's his name? The fucking kid from American Pie, the pie fucker.
Oh, Jason Biggs.
Jason Biggs. Yes. Yeah, because he's in a Dane Cook movie. My Best Friend's Girl.
My Best Friend's Girl.
Oof.
That was also terrible.
Yeah. That one looks, from what I remember, looks even worse than this.
You know, that reminds me. For some reason, I got My Best Friend's Girl, and what was the movie with Owen Wilson and I can't remember. He like moves in with his best friend, the guy from Something About Mary.
Oh right. It's not Drillbit Taylor, right? That's the other one.
That's what I watched Drillbit Taylor this week. and I guess there was like a chain of, well, all right, so I watched Good Luck Chuck, Employee of the Month. Let me watch, because I thought...
What are you doing with your life? You should go back to watching The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I'll give you a pass. If this is what you watch when you're not watching that movie, go watch it.
I don't know what...
Dupree.
You mean Dupree. So that's what I thought Drillbit Taylor was. Which I thought was My Best Friend's Girl.
Oh man, the 2000s, man, we're just proving that the 2000s are awful.
Yeah.
The aughts should get shot into space. If you could shoot a decade into space, it should be the 2000s.
I was just saying we should all come together as a civilization and just say, listen, from 2001 to 2009, nothing happened.
You know, Mark, before you say anything, you know who directed You, Me, and Dupree?
Zack Snyder.
Other side, the Russo brothers.
Get out of here.
Kid you not. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
What is going on?
We got to start somewhere.
So Good Luck Chuck reminded me of which is why I brought up Johnny Knoxville, of the movie The Ringer. And,
oh God.
You know.
Man, God, why are...
We're just befouling this podcast.
This is what this movie has done to us. We have to relive this shit.
Yeah, I blame it on... This was also the time period when Netflix movie delivery service was a thing, and you would just put on a bunch of movies that you kind of knew people on, you know, and that's why a lot of these movies, were probably seen at the time, and then everybody just forgot about them because they never really came to streaming services or weren't very, promoted that they were on streaming services.
All right. We could spend all day talking about this fucking decade. But we are going to take, before we go, take a quick break. Dan, do you want to plug something?
Sure. I would like to talk about our friend Tia and her podcast, The Top 10 with Tia, which I had the honor of being a guest on this past weekend. We covered the top 10 worst endings of a movie, and it was a lot of fun. Tia and Brittany are so much fun to talk to, and they're very knowledgeable. They're very funny. So please go listen to their podcast, Top 10 with Tia. You can follow her at TC_Stark on Twitter. So her podcast is essentially, they just run down top 10 lists. So like I said, top 10 worst endings, top 10, best Rob Schneider movies, so on and so forth. So yeah, go check her out. She's a big fan of the podcast. She also writes for Geek Vibes Nation. Go give her a look. She's insanely talented and insanely nice.
Great. And yeah, we're going to take a quick break, but before we do, we're going to take a minute to listen to some friends of the podcast. So we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Ken M.
Padawan J.
Coach Duffy. From the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast. Every week, the ODPH is talking sports, movies, TV, comics, and more. It's always a parlay of topics on each episode. You can find the ODPH on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, and wherever you find great podcasts, such as the one you're listening to right now. Don't forget to check out OchoDuroParlayHour.com, where you can find the links to all of the ODPH social media accounts, links to the bands whose music you hear each week on the show, hashtag 607 podcast info, and parlay points, our companion blog section of the show. Thanks for listening to the ODPH. Now get back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
Welcome, travelers. Seems like you're looking for a story. Well, I got one for you. It involves adventure, friendship, and all sorts of...
Earl, why don't you tell him about that time I stole that big-ass melon?
Yeah, I was going for more...
Or you could tell him about the time I kicked her ass, Earl.
I wouldn't ever tell him.
Do I need to get my ref gear on?
Okay, everyone, shut up. Now come with me as I tell you a story from afar. Hey everybody, my name's David. I'm the DM for From Afar Podcast. From Afar Podcast is all about four friends separated by distance, but brought together by adventure. Hope you all stop by and give us a listen. Thanks.
And welcome back. It's now time to get into the plot for Good Luck Chuck. We open on You Might Think by the Cars, meaning this movie, which takes place predominantly in 2007, has more 80s music than Wonder Woman 1984.
So glad you brought it up.
Dropping that W.
We open a party in 1985 with a whole bunch of 10 to 12-year-olds playing 7 Minutes in Heaven. We meet Stu and Charlie. Charlie is nervous. Stu acts like he knows it all, but is more or less clueless. Charlie hopes to go in with one girl, but some goth girl is giving him the eyes. Stu gets to go into the closet with a girl who is not pleased, to say the least, and then Stu shows himself to be a complete creep, basically threatening to spread rumors about the girl who doesn't even want to kiss him. And then Charlie goes into the closet with the goth girl, who then attempts to rape Charlie.
Yeah.
And then when he resists, she hexes him, and that he'll never be happy. And then we cut to present day, where Charlie has sex with a girl on the beach. Starts off shirtless in jeans, which is a weird look for just about anyone.
And just that close-up was like, how much longer is this going on for?
Yeah, we're forced to see Dane Cook's blowjob face, and HD is not kind to it. And then his girl says she loves him, and Charlie refuses to say it back, and then she leaves. Then he confides in his friend Stu. And question for you guys. Has Stu had consensual sex that he hasn't paid for?
Yeah, 100%.
He has?
Yes, I think so.
I'm on the fence.
Because with his profession, I think he probably gave out some favors.
Okay.
So it was like, hey, Doc, if you help me out here, I'll take you for a spin. And Stu's not saying no to that.
Okay, so you think he's bartered plastic surgery for sex?
100%, yes.
Okay, so maybe consensual and not paid for, but still kind of not particularly moral.
Right. Like, I would say, it's not like he met a girl at a bar, hit it off, went on a couple dates, and then they sealed the deal. No, I think it's essentially, hey, listen, if you give me some money off of this, I'll help you out.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. They talk about a wedding Charlie is inexplicably invited to of an ex. We find out Stu is a plastic surgeon and Charlie is a dentist. And Stu is maybe the most reprehensible person in any comedy ever.
I'm wondering why Stu got invited. Unless he was Dane Cook's +1.
I think he's Dane Cook's +1 because that's the whole conversation. He's like, of course I want to go. And then he's like, you know how easy it is to get laid after a wedding or whatever?
It's never easy, by the way. I know
that's a lie, kids listening out there.
Well, the other thing I kind of hated about the 2000s comedies, anytime there's a dentist, they always make the joke that they're not a real doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Always. It's 100% guaranteed if there's a dentist in the movie that's a main character, it will be dropped that they are not a real doctor.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least the one line Dane Cook's character has in this movie is at least a truthful line. Like, because she says, why a dentist? And he's like, because I couldn't make it in medical school. And
yeah,
I'm like,
that's always the old joke.
All right, that's better than just saying he's not a real doctor, But yeah, I get your point. It's always, dentists aren't real doctors.
Yeah.
I'd take a dentist salary any day of the week.
I was just gonna say, if you want to disrespect me that way, and I'm making dentist pay, I'm all for it. Hey, don't call me a doctor. I don't give a shit. I'm making, 6 figures.
Yep.
I know he jokes later in the movie, but I have serious doubts that Stu has a medical license.
Oh yeah,
that would be a great twist.
He should lose it.
Yeah,
many times he should be losing it.
There's no way. I mean, especially in this day and age, there's no way he doesn't get outed for sexual harassment.
Yeah, he literally allows Dane Cook to walk into an exam, a breast exam.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's got to be some type of Hippocratic oath, right? Yeah. Or just common decency, really.
Yeah, not be an awful human being. Which flew once again in 2007. You could get away with being a complete shit person. It's just the way it was.
The Apprentice aired then.
Right.
Yeah.
Who is the gentleman who directed the Joker?
Todd Phillips.
This was like Todd Phillips' favorite time period.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, oh, you could joke about whatever. Now you can't joke about anything anymore. Like, no, it's what you joked about in the 2000s was just not good. It's not funny. And now you actually have to work to be funny.
Yep. That's why he's making prestige pictures like Joker.
Right.
And then in 20 seconds, we get 2 stereotypes. We get a sassy black woman who plays as the receptionist, and then we transition to the wedding where there's an Asian guy singing karaoke, and he's the only Asian guy there, and he's the only person we see sing karaoke. And then the bride gives a toast and thanks Charlie for being a lucky charm, and then all the girls at the wedding gossip about Charlie, who's confused, and he sees Jessica Alba be klutzy, because it's the lazy way to explain why she's single.
I was expecting the bomb to drop, which I was giving this movie way too much credit, which is one of my character flaws, that it was going to be something like her last relationship, the person died of like a disease, like cancer or something, and that's why she was
You think they were going to drop the cancer bomb and good luck, Chuck?
No, not
Pretty
exactly
heavy.
cancer, but I thought that was going to be the thing, when like later on when Chuck and Jessica Alba's brother have a conversation, it was going to be like, man, don't you know her last relationship, the person died. I was all expecting that because everything was a trope in this, and that would have been the trope.
That if I'm Chuck, that doesn't make me horny. That's pretty bad.
Her ex-boyfriend got torn to pieces by polar bears, and that's why she's obsessed with penguins, because they're on the other side of the world. Because there are no polar bears. That's why.
I also hate the fact that she studies penguins.
Oh, there's so much fucking penguin talk in this movie.
None of it's interesting. Like, I like penguins; they're cute, but this movie makes it just unbearable.
Yeah. Yep. And then they have
I know the word Jenku or whatever.
I don't even remember
that type of penguin.
Yep. And then they have some male conversation about nonsense until she spills something on him, and Stu arrives just in time to point out that it looks like he came in his pants. Then during the bouquet toss, it hits a dove and then falls into the hands of the girl that just broke up with Charlie. The next day at the office, the waiting room is filled with girls from the wedding who are happy to see Chuck. They're ready to get laid at the dentist office, because that's where you got to get laid.
Such a romantic setting.
Yeah. And then Chuck goes to Stu's office, and Stu brings him into the back right into an appointment where a woman is topless. And like I said, how does Stu even have a job still? So Chuck confides in Stu and says everything's been really weird. A lot of pretty women have been going to his office. So they walk and talk about the weirdness in the office. And then they see the girl that caught the bouquet is now trying on a wedding dress the very day after she met somebody. And she says that Charlie is her lucky charm. And then Chuck goes home. His answering machine is full of messages from women that he's never met before asking for dates.
By the way, that is the biggest invasion of privacy in this movie, that whoever advertised it a good luck charm put, because I doubt he puts his home telephone number on his business cards or business ads.
Unless it's the emergency line. I don't know.
True. That's true. But also, it's 2007. Phone books still exist.
That's true. Those were a thing. Can you imagine if this movie was set in today's period where you have like Tinder and Bumble and all that? He would never get any sleep.
Nope. Yeah, he probably has DDS on his name too. It's probably Charles. It's probably really easy to find him.
That's true.
Yeah, he would seem like a type of guy that would put that in his phone book entry.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with that. I think that's one of the reasons why I never really got into Dane Cook, is that because he always acts like he's the funniest guy in the room, right? There's like no humility in him. I think that's also the reason why I don't really like Ryan Reynolds either. For the same reason.
And he also acts like the aw shucks kind of guy.
Yeah.
It's like he's the most grounded person ever when he's really not.
Yeah. I think that's the reason why he just kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. He's definitely, Dane Cook is definitely a poor man's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Jessica Alba, Cam, as her name is, works with penguins, and she does her klutzy thing and falls into a pool, chipping her tooth, partially because of her brother, not Jimmy Fallon. Chuck goes on a date with a girl who just jumps him as soon as he gets into the car, and she gives him the lowdown. He's supposed to be a lucky charm, and any girl that has sex with him will find their true love immediately afterwards. But before they have sex, Cam calls him and asks him if he can do an emergency dentist appointment, and he agrees. So he fixes her tooth, and they have some more banal conversation about penguins and Chuck's charity work, and then she winds up flinging sharp instruments into his back. I don't really know why he needed those for that appointment.
I totally forgot about the charity work. It never comes up again.
Never.
And it's like they really pointed out, like, oh yeah, I go to, where does he, like Haiti, or he goes to a village that's not well off.
Yeah.
And he helps the children there, which is really nice. It's very sweet. And you would think that this would play some role later in the movie, like, oh, you know, things didn't work out with Jessica Alba. I'm gonna go to Haiti and help the kids there, and that's where we find him later. Nope, it's never brought up again.
I think it's trying to show him that he's the opposite of Stu. Is
Sure.
what I think it's trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's really to show that he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
But again, that's something that's kind of, you would think is important.
Nope.
No,
But
it's
it
definitely
ain't.
not.
Surface level writing.
Yeah. So he asks to take her to dinner, and then she turns him down. Then she leaves, and then she comes back immediately because her car won't start. So he gives her a jump, and then she electrocutes him because she doesn't listen to him, and then she locks her keys in the car. So he has to drive her home, and this is a long sequence of events.
Yeah.
And it turns out that she left her house key in the car, too, so she winds up having to break her own window. Eventually, he brings her back to her car, and her skirt gets closed in the car door, so it rips off her skirt. And then she still will not have dinner with him. So Charlie goes home, and his receptionist has been waiting for him at his apartment and rapes him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, there's no other shorter way to explain that.
Yeah. He relents, but he never really wants to, so that's rape. And the next day, Chuck and Stu just kind of hang out at the park as the only two single guys there among a bunch of families, which I just found odd.
And throwing a frisbee back and forth.
Yeah. Stu explains to Chuck that regardless of whether or not Chuck is a lucky charm, this means that Chuck now has access to a whole bunch of quote-unquote trim.
Question, because it just popped in my head. If they would have been throwing a football, would this have been like The Room?
That'd have been great. Like,
well, they're not in tuxes.
Right.
They're not in formal wear. That would have been like you kind of transcend it there, right? You could throw the frisbee around, but you have to be in like some sort of formal wear.
Absolutely. And then we get a really long montage of fucking, which is basically the same montage from Wedding Crashers, and it winds up transphobic out of nowhere at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a rough scene.
Yeah. Hey, my only thought in this entire sequence was, did they shoot this all in a day or two, or did Dane Cook make them stretch it out over a week? So
just kept messing it up.
Yeah. I think we need a couple more girls. I don't think we got enough for the montage.
Now another question. How many, because there's no real, they don't show the length of time that's going on here. In a day, how much is Chuck helping out these women?
I'm going to say anywhere between, I'm going to say on like a weekend, he's probably doing 6 a day.
Okay, that's not a lot of time for turnaround.
That is a lot, though.
Right?
Yeah.
Or is he going to their place, or are they going to his place? It's not really specified, right?
Yeah, let's cap it at 4. How about?
Yeah, because there's a lot of time for traveling, cleaning up, the refractory period.
Yeah.
And he's 35. Let's be honest. He's 35 in this movie. You know, he's not 18.
Right. Yeah, he can't just keep going and going and going. He's not the Energizer Bunny, really.
Yeah, it's
right.
Or the impromptu ones with police officers to pull him over.
Right. Yeah, you have to leave time for the impromptu sex sessions. Right. You're at the grocery store, all of a sudden you're getting a handy or something. I don't know. Yeah. It's just for Chuck, it's just happening. It almost feels like a constant.
Right.
At one time, it's just like that Futurama episode where the soul is willing but the flesh is weak.
Right. Yeah, it's like there got to be a point where he's just like, you know what, I'm not in the mood to have sex for the rest of the day.
Right, he has to work.
Yeah.
So he's getting, again, he's borderline no sleep.
Probably. I'm assuming he's having sex once a day during the week, and he's turning it on during the weekend.
And this, I feel like it spans months then that this is happening, right?
I would say maybe a month.
Maybe a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 or 4 weeks, I would say.
Okay. I think that seems fair. Because in that montage, there's a ridiculous amount of women that they show.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're capping it at one a day, you're probably looking at a month or two.
Yeah. I mean, he's a dentist, so he's probably working 10-hour days.
Yeah.
12 hours.
And weekends possibly, right?
Yeah.
Emergency calls.
Yeah, sure.
He should have set up a system. Or he should
have
have had
system? That's what you said?
The dentist system, yes.
Yeah.
He should have had his secretary kind of like, keep my women in check here. Like, all right, you have an appointment at this time and this time. That would have been fun to see. Instead of it just being an all bang
she's
session.
in on it too. She knows.
Exactly.
It's not like he's got to keep it secret from her. It was like, you know what the deal is, lady.
Yeah. So it's essentially like, all right, I'll help you here, but at the same time, you have to help me.
Yeah.
I think that's
like
fair.
his personal assistant.
Right. I imagine like these women just coming to his house and the receptionist is there too. Like, I saw you earlier.
So Stu and Chuck hang out, and Chuck tells him that all the sex has become unfulfilling. And meanwhile, Stu tells him that he fucked a grapefruit. So
I'm not laughing at the scene. I'm laughing at the way you delivered it.
You had to find a way to one-up the pie.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Mark. That's right. We'll show those guys.
So Chuck sees some penguins on TV, so he decides to go talk to Cam. And we get a long scene of him trying to convince her to go out with him, and eventually she relents. And they go out on a date, and there's more fucking talking about penguins. Afterwards, Chuck tells Stu that he's basically giving up this charm deal in order to date Cam, and Stu shows off his Pamela Anderson implants he bought at auction, because Stu is reprehensible.
Yeah.
He's so over the top with it, man. I wish they gave it like scenes to breathe with how terrible he is.
Yeah.
Because you could always, like, all right, he's terrible, but you only see him every so often. That's fine. But he's in a large portion of this movie.
Yeah. This movie is essentially Shallow Hal, and he's essentially the Jason Alexander character.
Yes.
And
that's
the
a good
problem
point.
with both of these movies, those guys both get what are essentially happy endings at the end. Right. I don't mean that as a euphemism. That are unearned. Neither of them deserve happiness.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, they're both really bad people.
And then Cam and Chuck go on another date, and they go back to her place, start making out, and moves to the bedroom. But then Stu calls to tell Chuck that he's done research, and he says that every girl Chuck has ever slept with is now married the very next guy that they've met. So Chuck, afraid that he's going to have sex with Cam, and then she's going to find somebody else, he leaves in hopes to undo the curse before he sleeps with her. So Chuck and Stu set out to test the curse by having Chuck sleep with the most reprehensible person they could find. Some stereotypically large woman by the name of Eleanor, who is has a terrible personality too to go with it. And God, the less I say about the sequence of events, the better.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was 2000s comedy right there.
Yep. And then Cam is at work, said that Chuck hasn't called, and she's sad about it. And then he calls, saying he's been sick. So then we get another montage of Chuck and Cam falling in love, all while social distancing because Chuck is still pretending he's sick. And Stu buys another grapefruit to fuck, which brought my question to this. What was the sex toy situation in 2007? Were fleshlights not invented yet?
That's a good question.
I would think that if they were, he would have multiples of them.
Yeah,
right. Because he had more than enough money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Stu is loaded. If he's a plastic surgeon in LA, of all places.
Yeah. He's probably a millionaire, right?
Yeah. He's making 7-figure a year.
Okay. Yeah. So, and they at least had the blow-up dolls.
Right. But probably not like the real dolls.
No, right? Yeah. We don't have the futuristic ones now.
Yeah.
But it's better than I'm not sure. I don't want to give myself away here.
Right.
A grapefruit wasn't your fruit of choice. That's what you're saying.
You'll have to read Dan's Vice article about what's better to stick your dick in, a grapefruit or a fleshlight.
It's my TED
Honeydews and cantaloupes, a man's journey.
Underrated.
Honeydew's the money melon, man.
Everyone knows that. splurge and buy 2.
Haha, we caught you, Dan.
I gave myself away. It was only a matter of time, really. I've always tiptoed around it.
The montage ends and Chuck sicks Stu on the reprehensible chick that he fucked in order to see if the charm works. And then Chuck and Cam talk on the phone while they're both in tubs, it's weird to me when people are in tubs.
Did Stu and Chuck scene, they did the stupid thing of pulling the friend card.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Which made me roll my eyes really hard.
They mime actually pulling the card out.
Yeah.
I just think it's really weird that people are in tubs. I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah.
And then she initiates phone sex and sends him a naked picture, which was probably like 200 pixels at best.
Yeah, on that flip phone.
But those things were gold when you got them. I'll tell you, those things were. That was like the pinnacle.
That was so futuristic.
Yeah, I was a fan. Wasted those minutes and all that. Just like, if only I could go back and tell my dad what was happening, because I would always get in trouble if you received pictures or text messages. They didn't have the plans that we do now.
Yeah,
that was a lot. You got in a lot of trouble for receiving and sending text messages.
I just have a vivid memory of being at a party at Penn State, and I still had my Nokia brick phone thing in like 03 and 04, and a guy next to us just yelling about being able to see naked chicks on his phone, whatever phone he had. I think he might have had like the Razor Sidekick or something, the first one to have photos. And he's just like, dude, look, I got titties on my phone. And I'm like, who would want photos on their phone? That's probably a really small screen.
Man.
Little did we know.
And that's what really drives technology.
Yep.
What's the best way we could view boobies on the...
That's why iPhones started to get bigger again.
Yeah.
We needed better quality. Anyone who tells you differently is lying.
But guys, a little tip: when a girl sends you a naked picture, keep that to yourself. That's the gentlemanly thing to do.
Yeah, don't put it in your iCloud.
Don't share it with anybody else that she didn't send it for. That's a
bar stool move if you show it to your boys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And women and girls, don't trust guys because guys are awful.
Yeah.
We're bad. Yeah, we are the epitome of the worst.
This has been your life pro tip of the day.
Yeah.
Now back to the episode. But then Stu calls and said that he fucked the reprehensible chick and that he's not marrying her, so it doesn't look like the charm is actually real. So Chuck is in the clear to go fuck Cam. And they do. And she might be sexually attracted to penguins.
She's 100% attracted to penguins.
Right?
We find out at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, God. The worst mid-credit scene ever.
Yeah.
But in the morning, Chuck watches Cam sleep, then goes to make her coffee, and he sees a news report that has that reprehensible chick in love with some other guy. So he calls Stu, and Stu admits that he didn't have sex with her because he didn't want to risk it. And rightfully so.
This is the only good decision Stu makes.
That scene actually made me chuckle a little bit because of how nonchalant Stu is when he's talking on the phone. Like, oh, God, why would I have done that?
Yeah, because that's overextending the friend card. Please fall in love, have sex with her so that you have to marry this girl.
All right, Stu, I need you to fall on this sword for me, bud. That's not what real friends do.
And she has no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
No, none. If one of you guys asked me to do that, I would just beat the shit out of you. Dan, I need you to go date that woman. And just swift uppercut coming your way.
And then Chuck goes out the deep end, becoming the clingiest person of all time. He keeps calling her, buys her an unhealthy amount of flowers and balloons and a barbershop quartet. Eventually, he jumps out of a big present dressed as a penguin, and she tells him to leave. After work, he surprises her in her car, and she asks him to leave immediately. Chuck goes to work the next day, and Stu is pretending to be Chuck in order to have sex with one of the patients. So that's fun.
It's illegal.
Yes, it is. That's another rape scene. Yeah.
Yep.
That's Revenge of the Nerds style. Stu tells Chuck that he has to let her go. He's got to let Cam go. So he does the exact opposite and goes to her work with intentions to propose. Winds up attacking a penguin expert by the name of what he thinks is George. And he tries to go talk to Cam and falls into the penguin pool and gets bit in the dick. So while he's getting arrested, he finds out the big date with George he saw on her calendar, which isn't something I mentioned because it's who cares, was a hair appointment that she had. And it wasn't the guy at the penguin exhibit.
So, all right, so we know the whole point is that when Chuck sleeps with a woman, the next person they date is going to marry them, right? Why can't he just date her?
I don't know.
Right? Like, all right, he sleeps with her and he goes immediately, hey, listen, I really like you. I think we should, be a thing.
Yep.
Does that circumvent the curse?
I would think so, because the girl on the beach, I think they were together for a long enough time for her to say that she loved him, right?
Yes.
And then he
threw that away.
Yeah, because he's a child, and the whole trope of I can't say I love you because I have commitment issues,
which is not really explored.
Yeah.
Outside of that first woman.
Right. Nope.
So no one grows here. That's always good.
Yeah.
That's the important message.
It was all just one big waste of time.
Right. It's an ending.
So, in a depressive state, Chuck realizes that he has to find the girl that put a hex on him to reverse it. And then he walks in on Stu fucking a grapefruit. Once again with the grapefruit.
And his only response is, can a man masturbate in his own home?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a valid question.
It's fair. Yeah. It is fair. Yeah, he just walks in. He's not given permission to enter the domicile.
Right. He's not given the heads up text, hey, I'm outside.
Yeah. I mean, we're not here to kink shame Stu. They just lean on it a lot. The grapefruit. We see him buying a grapefruit. We see him decoring a grapefruit. It's like, we get it. He fucks grapefruits.
Right. Yes, he's a fan.
Yeah. And then Cam starts feeling bad about how it went with Chuck, and sort of gets victim blamed by her brother because she didn't want to be around a super possessive person that may have worn her skin. Chuck finds Anisha, the goth girl's house. She's now a normal-looking mom with a husband. She makes him realize that there was no hex in reality. He decides that he has to set Cam free. So Chuck goes home and sets up a date between Cam and the handsome penguin expert Howard that she said that she was going to meet at a conference, and they seem to hit it off. Chuck is sad and spends all day playing Xbox. Stu comes over and tells him that he's engaged, and it was one of the girls that Chuck had sex with that was self-conscious about her chest. It turns out she has 3 breasts, meaning she's perfect for Stu, the one character that does not deserve a happy ending.
Absolutely.
They also tell Chuck that Cam is going to Antarctica with the penguin expert. So we have a mad dash to the airport scene. He pays for 2 first-class tickets for like $20,000, and he deals with nonsense at security. And then he gets on the plane, but it's not the right one, so he has to go to the other one. And he has a long speech about getting back together. Turns out Howard, the penguin expert, has a wife the whole time. And he gives her a pebble because penguins, again with these fucking penguins. And then they kiss on the plane. And it turns out the goth chick was actually a real witch that put a hex on him this whole time. And she decides to de-hex his voodoo doll that she had of him. And then we flash forward to 1 year later, and they're still together in Antarctica, where they make out in front of penguins and their tongues stick together. And then that's the end. And then we get the worst mid-credit scene ever, where the 3-boob chick and Stu watch a video of Chuck pretending he's going down on a stuffed animal penguin. And then credits. I hated this movie.
Is this one of the first movies that showed the act of eating ass in a movie?
Analingus.
Yeah.
At least on a plush toy, yeah.
Yeah.
The whole point of that mid-credits thing should have been to just show the 3 boobs.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't show that.
They did.
They did. In the mid-credits scene, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They saved that for the mid-credits scene.
Yeah.
Marvel
that should have been the whole point of that. The whole video thing, in my opinion, in the would have made it better section of that thing, would have just been if it was like some kind of wholesome video. Like, not anything sexual at all.
Yeah.
That would have been even worse for Stu.
Right, because then it turns him off.
Yeah.
Were you in the mood? No, not really. Yeah, that would have been, because they're both terrible people.
Oh, man, they're just talking about penguins in this video.
Right. Yeah.
But, as Ann said, this movie is god-awful. It has no redeeming qualities at all, and that's a lot coming from me for those of you that have listened to this podcast before.
It's uninteresting. It says nothing.
Yeah. Outside of the fact that Jessica Alba looks pretty good in this movie, there is 0 redeemable qualities. And like I said, I think they hit every phobic. There's the transphobic, there's fatphobic, there's,
I don't think there's homophobic.
Yeah.
Oh, we get the F-bomb. We get the F-bomb.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Yep. It hits just about everything.
In the park, I think he says it, right?
No. He says
I think it's at the office.
Yeah, when he says that, not going to... I don't know if it's when he says he's not going to have sex with people because of the good luck charm or or that he's going to hold out for Cam or something like that.
Yeah.
One of the reasons. Of course, Stu drops it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a movie that felt like a combination of trying to be or I should say, trying too hard to be what they thought the culture wanted at that point. Or maybe that's just a looking back on it, because it seemed like all the jokes and the forced little slapstick comedy moments were all forced and not as much of a part of it. I'm sure if we go back and watch some Apatow movies, we'll see some of the same things. But those felt like they weren't like a bunch of people that didn't know how to write comedy just sitting in a room going, all right, well, we saw this in that one movie. Why don't he hits an old lady with the Frisbee and she takes the Frisbee away. Ah, that's funny, right? You know, like sort of like, you know, dumb stuff like that. Or the Stu character is just reprehensible. That's funny. You know, it just, we would have to have a whole nother podcast and completely rewrite this movie to try to do how to make this better.
Yeah. I think the difference between Judd Apatow movies and this, even if you go back and see Knocked Up or 40-Year-Old Virgin, if there are things that are some sort of questionable, those are always in the part of the movie before the character learns a lesson.
Yeah.
You know, like Seth Rogen in Knocked Up, he's not like homophobic or anything like that, but
he's a loser.
He's a loser. So eventually he learns to pick himself out of his loserdom and, you know, gets his shit together. He's probably a little misogynistic, to be honest with you.
Sure.
I haven't seen Knocked Up in a long time, but probably. But that's that's what happens when someone writes comedy well or writes a script that has character arcs. You know,
Yeah.
They might be shitty in the beginning, but then they turn it around and they are people that you wind up rooting for. This movie there's no one worth rooting for in this.
No, not even Jessica Alba.
No, and like, yeah, she's cute, but like, is she in this movie? Is it like when they say, well, what's the sexiest movie character of all time? It's not this. Like,
No.
If anything, her character in Sin City would probably be 100 times picked before this.
Yeah, well, and because she's mysterious, you don't really know much about her. She's a dancer.
Yeah.
But she's the affection of everybody in that city. Everyone loves this chick.
Yeah.
So you want to learn more about her. Here, you learn she's clumsy and she likes penguin, and that's really it. You know, that's not a good character trait.
Yeah.
That doesn't really flesh you out. You know, you could be clumsy and be something completely different. You could also be a genius. You could be good at sports. Just like anything that helps you build as a character. Yeah, this movie just, to me, I think they were just trying to make a raunchy comedy. And they were trying to capitalize on Dane Cook's stardom or rising stardom at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't meant to be, and that's okay. People fizzle out, you know, it is what it is, but it's a product of its time, and it's not that long ago that this happened, so we can kind of look back and be like, ugh, I can't believe that people allowed this. So it could be used as a cautionary tale when writing, but in order to make it better, I would probably switch it around a little bit. I would make Chuck gross. He would be an ugly dude where no one wants to sleep with him.
But he has this power.
And he has this power, and it's kind of like, well, maybe Jessica Alba is like the villain, sort of. You know, she so badly wants to meet someone, like, oh, well, I got to bang Chuck. He's gross. Like, you can make Chuck like Steve Buscemi. Or like we said before, you can make it into a horror, right? Where Chuck kind of goes off on this killing spree where no one knows who he is, and then like the twist at the end was, oh, you know, Chuck was the guy everyone made fun of in high school. Like he changed his name or whatever. I don't know. His real name is like Mike, whatever. But yeah, it turns out to be this final destination. Like everyone he sleeps with dies a gruesome death. That would be because no one has to learn anything in a horror movie, really.
That's true.
Right? And no one has to grow as a character. It's just you have to survive.
Sure.
And yeah, like maybe there was a hex that was put on him, almost like Pumpkinhead. And like the goal is they have to find the witch who put the hex on Charlie.
I would love if this movie started Lance Henriksen and Holly.
That'd be so great. So Chuck didn't bang the witch or whatever. and the hex was put on him, and he was made fun of in high school. So he's just getting his revenge on all of these. You have the cheerleader, you have the you could have a jock in there, the popular girl, just like any random trope that's in high school. And it's just like, yeah, he works his way down. And I think that would be pretty interesting at the very. It may not be good, but it'd be a hell of a lot more interesting than this.
Yeah.
And you could kill off Stu for no reason.
Stu gets hit by a bus.
Yeah. Decapitation. The worst thing that you could think of happening to Stu.
Well, the worst thing would be his junk getting cut off.
Sure.
Would be the worst thing for Stu.
In a juicer.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
Oh boy, I just put 2 and 2 together. There.
Or what about
that's pretty good.
Like he's still in the in his profession, right? He's a plastic surgeon. Maybe he gets gored with some of his tools or something like that. Like he gets his eye gouged out. I don't know what they use there in the office, but I'm assuming they're scalpels, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Or what about he gets his dick stuck in a grapefruit, and he's like, oh, this juicer here is, I put the grapefruit in the juicer, it loosens up the grapefruit, and then I'll be able to slide my dick out. And it goes too far, like if you get your tie caught in like a paper shredder.
Sucks him in.
Just sucks him in from the dick first.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. And then he just dies of shock.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right, you guys want to plug your shit?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, Mark.
I just want to go first just because we do, actually have Stranger Damies stuff that's been hot and heavy going here. So if you've made it through this episode and haven't jumped off at any point, we are in the middle of getting ready for campaign 2 for Stranger Damies. We should be in the middle of the character arcs by now. You guys talk about your the characters you created for it. I had done my world introduction. So we are getting ready. March 3rd will be the first episode of Stranger Damies on the podcast feed, but you can watch us live on Twitch at twitch.tv/GameVaultPod for streaming the entire session. So if you are a binge watcher, that would probably be the location to go and do that. Because the rest of the episodes will be parsed out in roughly 1 hour chunks like before. Instagram and Twitter is at Stranger Damies. That's where any updates and artwork will be found. And then we have the Game Vault Pod, which airs every other Monday. And they graciously let us use their Twitch channel for Stranger Damies. So be sure to follow us there so you can watch us stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and then at least 2 days over the weekend. Just as always, keep an eye on our Twitter accounts for both of those for any scheduling updates or any new information dropping.
Dan, did you go?
Yeah, for me, just real simple at Diaquino122 on Twitter, at Stranger Damies. We just hit 1,500 followers. We did
Nice.
We made it. We're in the pros now, right? Where's our check mark? But yeah, at Stranger Damies on Twitter and Instagram. Come say hi. We talk about more than just D&D there. So we're welcome to talk about whatever you guys like.
Okay. And this is They Call This a Movie. You can find us everywhere you get your podcast just by searching They Call This a Movie. But you could find us especially on Spreaker. We're themaindaming.com. That is our main website where we post this as well as the Game Vault podcast, as well as Stranger Damies and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's themaindaming.com and on all socials just by searching The Main Damie. We're also a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. You can find them at gvnation.com and wherever you get your podcasts, and on all socials just by searching for Geek Vibes Nation. Tons of great shows on there besides us, Top 10 with Tia, Cena Nerd, and a whole bunch of other great shows. There's a Knicks show. I think there's a hockey show now. A bunch of great shows. If you're into geek stuff and some sports stuff too, there's probably a show for you.
They are covering, sorry to interrupt, they are covering WandaVision, and I'm assuming that will probably continue into Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Okay.
So they do that live. That's every Saturday.
Gotcha. On the YouTube channel. Just look for Geek Vibes Nation. You can find them on YouTube as well. And that's going to wrap it up. This has been Good Luck Chuck. The director of Good Luck Chuck was Mark Helfrich. So for Dan Aquino and Mark Myers, this is Anthony Del Vecchio telling Mark Helfrich, well, you certainly made a movie, didn't you?